Alright, I'm sitting here with Dricus Du Plessis. Fourth fight in the UFC coming up here against Darren Till. It's a massive fight for you in your career, another top 15 fight. How are you feeling?
Feeling absolutely great. I mean, fighting my first top 10. I mean, I just entered the top 15, making history for South African MMA, South African MMA for sure. And for those who reside in Africa, to show what is possible on the continent. You don't have to go to all these big countries, more first world countries to make it in there. Massive honor for me, and absolutely fighting Darren Till, one of the biggest names, not only in our weight division, but in the whole organization. I mean, a top 10 opponent, Darren Till. Yeah, what can I say? It's a massive opportunity for me, and I can't wait to step up to the plate and put South Africa even further down the line as one representing the country and raising the flag up high.
You were calling for this fight a while back. You were even prepared to take it on short notice. The fact that it's arrived and that Dana's put you in this position, I mean, that must be beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, a big thing is you can look at it in two ways. Like, either the UFC is done with Darren Till, so now they're giving him to this killer South African guy that nobody can figure out and who's just been knocking guys out and putting up wars, or you can look at it that they want to build him back up because he has star power. That's a fact. So I'm not 100% sure on which side of the boat I'm on and which side of this conversation that the UFC really sees me. But my first three performances in the UFC, I got a performance bonus for all of them, at least in some way or form. And I really believe they see some potential for, because it's just about entertaining fans. And me and Darren Till, the fight in itself is something that you guarantee. Darren Till, you can say a lot of things, but never in a boring fight. And I think the UFC is giving him this opportunity to sink or swim choice. I think the UFC sees this as, okay, we're giving him this new guy that nobody seems to figure out yet, and who's just coming forward and just putting on wars. Let's see if his experience can still win fights, because that's at the end of the day what he needs to be doing. He needs to be winning a fight, because this is a very critical moment in his career, so the pressure is all on him. But one would say that, but one thing people don't realize is, I don't care if I'm fighting Darren Till or if I'm fighting Israel Adesanya, the champion. For me, losing against anybody, one loss, there's no worse loss. To win by a decision, or to lose by a decision and lose by a knockout, for me it's the same thing. I'm in there to win, and it doesn't matter who steps in there with me. I'm nobody's step to the top. And everybody to me is a stepping stone in this division. With all the respect possible, Darren Till is an incredible fighter, and I'm a massive fan of his, but unfortunately there's a saying that says, kill your heroes in flight, and that's exactly what I plan on doing.
All right, fantastic. And you mentioned it earlier, Darren Till's a huge name. He was on a tear at one stage, and then his career just went up and down. Now it's like one of those positions where he's going to be motivated. He definitely doesn't want his career to go off tracks. He definitely wants to come back. He's training with Khamzat Chimaev as well, his good friend. Does that make a difference?
Yeah, I guess a change of scenery could be good for him. I think there were some bad influences in his life. But then again, I don't know at all. We can only see what we see on social media, things you read, things you see. We don't know for sure. But absolutely, I think the change of scenery, getting somebody like Khamzat in there, who is absolutely motivated. You can see that. And I think that might motivate Darren Till to be the Darren Till that when he first burst up on the scene, a guy that was motivated to be the best, a guy that trained hard, that didn't show up out of shape. He didn't gas in one round because he was out of shape. You could see it on the scale. And I think that might bring out the best in him, and I really hope it does, because I don't want to fight a watered down Darren Till. I want to fight the best Darren Till that's ever stepped in there and prove that I am the next big thing. I think Darren Till, the best Darren Till, is an incredible fighter, and I think we've seen the best of him and the worst of him. For him, I really hope he's putting in the work and doing what he needs to be doing, and I'm sure he is, because this is make or break for him, because if he's not, he's going to get hurt in there.
Well, of course, the best version of you has come out. So far in the UFC, you've done exceptionally well. I mean, even the winner of Brad Tavares, you threw everything against Tavares. He just happened to be a really tough man and in the top 15. How do you see yourself now? Do you see yourself as the favorite in this fight, as the underdog?
That's very interesting. I'm really looking forward, because he's such a big name, and being favorite underdogs never bothered me. And just to add on, Brad Tavares is one incredibly tough guy, and we put on a wall for a fight. And I did really throw everything at this guy. And the first guy I never finished. I didn't finish. And I mean, all respect to him. That wasn't for me, lack of trying from my side. I threw all the strikes that I possibly could, as hard as I possibly could, and he just wouldn't go down. But I see myself as that was a proving ground for me. To win 2 fights by a quick knockout is one thing, because people, you always see those guys that come in, they just get knockouts. You almost can go on a Johnny Walker for that. He's an incredible guy to watch. He comes out guns blazing and he knocks 2, 3, 4 guys out. People are like, this guy's next big thing. Then he fights a guy that drags him to deep waters. And all of a sudden, he doesn't get that first round quick knockout, doesn't come in the second, and then he's done. And that's almost exposing him. Where I feel this fight with Brad Tavares, I knew that decision's probably going to come one day. And I couldn't have asked for a better fight, because it wasn't one of those boring fights we laid on top of each other, doing what I needed to win. It was an all-out brawl in a war. And at the end of the day, that showed people that no matter if the fight, like I started with a full fight pace to finish that fight as I want to finish in the first round, went in the same pace the second and third, and kept on trying to finish the fight. And I think that gave people that I proved myself as not only I have the power to knock people out and to get a quick finish, but also if the fight goes to deep waters, you're going to still have to deal with me, because I'll be there till the end.
And I think it leans into my next question as well, because no longer do you have, I wouldn't say pressure of being a 100% finisher, but does it take you into the next phase of your career where, like, we're going to start looking at the big fights, potentially the 5-rounders, if you get a UFC title shot in the near future? Does it really assure you that, going the distance, you're capable of doing such?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, my strength and conditioning coach and, the whole team was always like, we are training so incredibly hard to be able to go full speed for the full distance of the fight. And every fight, I've never been to a decision once, even in the 5-round fight. The furthest I've been in a fight was half of the 3rd round, and it was a finish. So my strength and conditioning coach always like, we are working so hard on your gas tank and making sure that you are fit to go the distance, but we never get a chance to see it. And in this fight, I got a chance to show the world, but most importantly of all this is show to myself, because I know I'm fit and I know I'm strong and I know I put in the work to have that gas tank. But there's only one way to really know, and that's to do it in a fight. You can do it in sparring, you can do it in training. It's not the same. It's a completely different environment. So yes, that was now I have the experience of a decision. I wouldn't say that's something I would like to get again. I like to finish my opponents, but if it's like that, I have no problem with that at all. If it's not a lack of trying, if it's an entertaining fight, I have no problem with it. But definitely, I think this fight gave me more confidence than a first round knockout ever would, because I knew firstly I can take it, and firstly that I can do it for 3 rounds, go as hard as I can. And I had to fight back in that fight. I had to fight for some adversity. I had to fight. The first round was lost. That means I had to win number 2 and 3. And I dusted it off after that first round. That went horribly for me. And I came back and proved that no matter the adversity, I can come back and still win fights. And that was the important part for me. So it was a lot of fun. It was a mental battle, because in that 3rd round, I knew I had to win that round, and it was a long round.
Yeah, it was. And I mean, that's exactly what it is. It's always going to be a test, and you need these, in sparring, you can have these tests, obviously, but it's like the in-ring experience that you get. But here's another one, right? So you going in there to fight against a big fight in Darren Till, but you also got a teammate that's going to come along with you as well. Do you stress about other people's fights?
Yes, absolutely. I think whenever my team fights and I'm just sitting in the corner, I feel almost a little bit helpless, because I almost feel like, listen, let me take care of it. Let me just get in there and fight for you, even though they're more than capable and I know the work they put in. It's almost like, it feels like I want to be a remote control. I have a remote control, because you see, especially a guy like Cameron who's making his debut. I've coached him since he was 13, 14 years old. So I mean, to see him come all this way to his pro career, he made his debut on my last fight in South Africa, defending my title. So and he was with me in my corner, my first UFC fight, and now I'm there for his first UFC fight, and I'm fighting on the same card, my first main card, pay-per-view fight, my first top 10 fight. So it's a very special moment, and the stress is definitely there. It's going to be interesting to see. I think we'll look at it, if it's possible for me to still be in his corner, even though I'm fighting later on that night. But it's such a big moment, and it makes me super proud to be part of CIT and what we've achieved as a team and as a country. But most certainly I stress more when my teammates fight, especially someone like Cameron, who is my protege and a guy that, like, I steer his career. We decide about what we want to do with his career, and the fights we pick and how we approach things. And it's just as important for me how he fights is the same as I fight. So yeah, it's gonna be something else to see him fighting in the T-Mobile Arena. I mean, I almost treat him like a kid because to me he's not that much younger. Well, he's quite a bit younger. He's 21 years old. He's turning 22. So we have a 5-6 years age gap, but we're not only training partners. We're almost best friends, you could say. We spend every day together. We have been almost mentor and protege relationship, where now it's not like that anymore. It's just I have a little bit more experience than him, but in terms of skill and what I can teach him about fighting, I mean, there's some things he can teach me.
Yeah, I mean, with the younger fighters, especially Cameron 6-0 has got a good opportunity now in the UFC. You mentioned video games and you wish you could take over. You know, Darren Till has been in the UFC games before. We're hoping Dricus Du Plessis gets put onto the next UFC video game. That would be cool, right?
That'll be pretty amazing. Not to have to go to a career mode and build yourself, try and figure it out, get yourself a little bit more muscles, let them figure it out, and yeah, that'll be something cool. Unless they want to make me like the worst ranked fighter on the game, I don't want to be on it. Like if you make me like the second worst rating, I'm good with that. But don't put me on that game as the worst ranked.
What would you think your overall would be, like, you know, out of 100? Right now.
Right now, I would like to say where I would want to be as a title in the next year or two. I would say I'm a 6 or a 7 right now out of 10. I would give myself a 60 to 70%. There's still a lot to learn. There's still a lot of ring time to get. I believe the guy that fights you in the gym, the Dricus that fights you in the gym, everybody that sees it still yet to experience it in the cage, just because I haven't had that much opportunity, and I'm looking forward to getting people to see what I can actually do. The Brad Tavares fight was a very cool experiment and a very cool way to showcase what we do have to offer. But I think this fight with Darren Till is going to make me level up to a level that people in South Africa, even South African fans that believe in me so much, they didn't even know I was capable of. And I'm feeling better than ever, and I can't wait to just improve every fight and just improve every camp, because that's what we do. It's consistency over the years. I don't take time off. I take off if I have a little injury, but then we have something else to work on. It's non-stop work and getting better. I want to be the best in the world, and if you want to be the best in the world, there's no time to relax. I'll relax someday when I'm done. But I would give myself around a 6 or a 7 right now, to where I think I can go, and I think I will be something extraordinary. And in this fight will be a massive step up from the last fight, even though that fight was something, in my eyes, for me personally, in my fight experience, was a step up in competition. Firstly, the first few exchanges I could feel I'm fighting top 15 in the world right now, but my level immediately went up, because I knew I had to be there if I want to compete with these guys. Now I'm going into the top 10, and now I know what it feels like to fight these guys that are the top of the division, the top of the fighting world, and I know mentally and physically what it takes. And that's something I learned from the Brad Tavares fight, and I think that's something that I'll be able to impose from the first seconds of the fight with Darren Till.
And of course, you mentioned it earlier in the piece that you're going to be fighting at the T-Mobile Arena, the fighting capital of the world, Las Vegas, against Darren Till from Liverpool. A big fight there. And of course, I mean, to bring eyeballs to South Africa as well is a huge thing. I know that Las Vegas, everyone wants to go fight there. You got the privilege of doing that, and you know, getting a win on that platform sets your career. I mean, to fight maybe even a main event fight, even on maybe not necessarily on for a title fight, but a main event fight.
Yeah, absolutely. I would actually love that. I would love to get this fight and then look at what the division holds. I mean, the champion at this stage has beat everybody in the top 6, so there is a gap there. There's a gap there, and I would love to win this fight in spectacular fashion and get a 5-round headliner fight night against your top 5 guys. Anybody in that top 5 after this to get that 5-round experience. And the 5 rounds, not the fight that's the problem. It's the preparation that's completely different. The cool thing is, I mean, I had 6 years of my career, I only had title fights. So I'm really happy to fight the 5-rounders, to prepare for them, and I know what it takes, and it is the next level. And I would love to have one main event of a fight night after this, headliner fight night, whether it be in the States, Europe, doesn't really matter. Just to have that main event feel, and then go on to see what's up, whether it's a number 1 contender fight or a direct title shot. But that's where my mind's at.
You get those UFC cameras down here to South Africa to show them a little bit more about our side of the world. What's your message to Darren Till before you gonna get in there with him?
Oh, Darren is all the respect in the world. I hope you got out of that slump. You need to get out of that slump if you're going to face me. I said it on a post. I said, you need to be going through hell if you want to even stand a chance against me in there, if you want to compete with me in there. And I really hope you are. And if you are the athlete that the guy that a lot of people believe in and the guy that I believe you are, I really hope you're putting in that work, because not only will you take away the glory of my win, but you will put your whole legacy in jeopardy if you're not preparing for this fight like you should. And I really hope he is preparing for this fight, because I'm preparing harder and better than I've ever prepared for anything in my life.
All right, fantastic. So that'll be a message that obviously gets to him. And any thank yous, any shout outs lastly from you, Dricus?
Thank you, South Africa. Once again, it's just insane to see how, I mean, a guy like Cameron making his debut, how the people are supporting him. My support is just growing. It's insane. It almost feels like you can't believe there hasn't been a UFC yet. It feels like everybody's talking about it. It's so insane, and the support's amazing, and I appreciate it. My team CIT, the guys that are showing up, people that are just rocking up, like fighters from all over, not necessarily just from our team, just to come and help out as a fellow MMA fighter representing a country like South Africa. Everybody that's played a role in me and our success, it's deeply appreciated. Our main sponsor, USN, the main sponsor of Team CIT, you know, without people like that, we just can't do what we love. And it's amazing to see massive companies like that investing in a sport that we love and investing in our country. At the end of the day, the sportsman that represents our country. It's amazing, and thank you everybody that's making this whole dream possible for guys like me, guys like Cameron, and the guys that's up and coming through the lower ranks in the EFC. Keep on watching, keep on supporting, and thank you.